Eric Carle, Rooster Collage, Part 2. The materials you'll need today are a piece of white paper, some crayons, a pencil, Sharpie, and watercolor paints. Alright, boys and girls, let's get started. Welcome back, boys and girls. Time for Part 2 of our Rooster Collage, inspired by Eric Carle. Alright, so today you're going to need a blank piece of white paper. We do not need the rooster from last week just yet. You're going to need him, though, next week when we complete the project and put it all together. But today, you're going to need a piece of white paper. It doesn't matter how you set it up. If you set it up horizontally or vertically, it doesn't matter. But you will need watercolor paints today, and you will need a piece of white paper, and you're going to need crayons. And it is very important that you use crayons for this part of the project. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to create some feathers for our rooster. And I want you to create 5 feathers. You can draw your feathers any way that you want to. If you want to draw just a standard feather, you can draw just a standard feather. And then go ahead and add your veins to your feather. The lines in your feather. You could do a standard feather. You could draw a feather that is curved. You can draw a feather that is just straight. You can draw a feather that is curled. But I want you to create 5 feathers. So right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, so I need 1 more feather. And I'm going to do 1 more feather. And then with your crayon, what I want you to do is after you've drawn your 5 different types of feathers, or you can draw all the feathers the same way, it doesn't matter, you're going to use a crayon to add your details inside your feather. So if you want your feather to have just the feather lines inside of it, you could make some of your feathers different and have them be polka dotted or striped or have a pattern in them. I don't care how you design your feather. Leave some white spaces. I don't want you to color them all in this time, so we're not filling in our white spaces just yet, with crayon anyway. But I do want you to add some details using crayons into each of your feathers. So all of your feathers should have some type of design or pattern inside to create our visual texture. One thing Eric Carle did in all of his artworks was he created either painted or patterned pieces of tissue paper before he cut them out to create his masterpieces. So what we're doing is creating some visual texture in with our feathers using crayon before we go over it with some watercolor paint to fill in all our white spots. So make sure that you add some texture. Again, I do not care how you want to draw your designs in. That is entirely up to you. You decide how you want to add in your designs into your feathers with your crayon. There's no wrong way to do it unless you just leave them blank. That would be the only wrong way to do this. So once you've added some patterns or designs into your feather, now you're going to fill in the white spots inside your feather using watercolor paints. The reason that we are using watercolor paints and crayon is because crayons are made by using the main ingredient being wax. And wax and water do not mix very well. In fact, they don't mix at all. They're not friends. So you will notice when you start to paint over your feathers that it does not stick to the paint, and it's only going to fill in the spots that are left white. The harder, you will also notice that the harder that you drew with your crayon, the brighter your crayon will pop out of your picture. So if you pushed hard, like you can see that up towards this top part of the feather, I pushed really hard with the yellow crayon, but right here I must not have pushed very hard because the paint is not popping through very much. It's okay if you get out of the lines on this part because we are next week. Once these all dry and we're getting ready to put it all together, we are going to cut them out. So it's okay if you go out of the lines. So I'm going to just go right on out of the lines. I want you to paint all of your feathers. Again, you can use whatever colors you want. I don't care what kind of colors you use. It doesn't matter to me. You're not going to get in trouble if you use any certain kind of colors. But I do want to be able to see this crayon popping out of some of your designs. I'm hoping that it works well for you. And if it doesn't and it didn't work, you can always try again. And you'll notice that I'm not using the same colors on all my feathers. I'm kind of mixing them. You can do that too if you'd like. I like to do that sometimes to give it a little extra. Go over all of your feathers. Once you've painted over all 5 of your feathers, then you're going to set them aside in a safe spot, let them dry, and next week we're going to put it all together.